Don't forget you do actually have the ability to switch the cushion left to right if you need to. There's squash on left to right side, so if you want to shift his weight over, it will follow him. Now at the moment I would say it's actually sitting quite high on it. If you want to, you can push that down a little bit, intersect a little if you need to, although just be careful of how the tail's going to be visible, because unfortunately the pose you've chosen here is really showing off the whole tail section, and I think that's going to be a lot. We'll have to solve that probably in the compositing. Okay, faster head turn at 32. So that's just, if we watch this section, so if you just watch his head as we play this section here, it feels like we should go from that pose to that pose much quicker. Be like that sort of thing. And you've actually got it happening over a long period of time. First of all, the eyes and the mouth close, then the head is turning, then the arm catches up, and it just feels like that whole section could happen in half the time, and it would be a bit more, a bit stronger as a reaction. Quickly into it, and then he looks out. In fact, I would say, and this is just an extra note now, when he turns back, it'd be nice if he took a few frames longer to do it, and it could be that he's shaking as he goes. So it'd be like, and you could have eye darts that go in various stages. So you could go to here, and the eyes dart to here, and then you could go and make them dart to here, and then you can make them dart to here, and you break that up from the way that overall his head moves. Okay, what else have we got? Drifty hand after the reaction. Right, that is that once his hand is up in this position, it sort of drifts very slowly from here down to there in a sort of way too smooth an action. And at this point he's like sort of thing. So I would really like to see him go. It might be that the hand goes the other way for a bit, and the arms cross, and then they jerk out, or something like that. But right now it's just like this smooth action. It doesn't feel like he's nervous and shaky at all. It just kind of, it actually feels a little bit too calm. So if you could break that action up and think about breaking down, put a key break down. It could be that he goes over here. So if we switch back to drawing mode. So if we say, right, that's a good key there, good, okay. Then perhaps, instead of going to here, by the time you open his arms out, maybe you put that hand over here and do this. Just so that you've got that crossover. It's almost like his head is leading the action, but his body doesn't really want to make the turn, so he's trying to protect himself a little bit more. And you could actually make hands come in. You've already brought the arms out at this point, but it would be really nice if perhaps that hand was crossing in. Something like that. And then he can open out. But when he opens out, make sure that you're sort of breaking up that timing and letting the arms emphasize how scared he is, along with that head, which is also breaking up timing. So it's like you're going to get stepped keys. Well, not quite stepped, but you're going to make them more towards being stepped keys rather than a smooth curve. Then we've got Eyeline at 29. What's that one? Okay, now when you move this halo down to a new position, this is going to be affected anyway, but basically what I was finding was that it didn't look like he was looking at the halo here. So it doesn't look too bad around here. You just about believe that he's looking at the halo here. But then he looks like he's looking too high here, like his eye line's out here. And then all the way through here, I'm not getting the impression he's really looking at the halo. You're going to have to fake the eyes sometimes. You don't need to. I don't know whether this is you're just trying to put the target directly on the halo, but more often than not you've got to fake the eyes out to make it really look like he's looking at them. Now let's say that the halo is down here. For starters, you're going to have to point the eyes down a little bit more anyway. But some of these keys, he just doesn't quite look like he's actually looking at the halo. So that's something to look at. Eye dart up and down halo 70. Right, that's just that. By the time he gets to about here, he looks directly up at. It's almost like he's looking at a point. Maybe here it actually feels a little bit like he's looking further out. I would argue that he's looking out here somewhere, but he's got a fixed point, and the halo is actually quite tall relative to him because it's got like the halo is almost the height of his head, and you could afford to look up and down that. So the eyes would dart like this, and so they could dart from this position to this position. So you get that line and that line, and just dart between those two positions when it gets there in a sort of panicky look. And around the same area, actually, one of the other things I was hoping you could try and do was enhance the fear look. It's an appropriate expression, but it would be really nice if he had a bit more kind of expression, if you see what I mean. And I think that would really enhance that feeling of fear at that point. Interesting what you're doing with the eyelids there. It's a bit confusing actually. I don't know if that's necessarily the way to do it, but are you smoothing in and smoothing when you do your eyelids? Are you easing in or easing out? I usually always ease out of every change in an eyelid, but I don't ease in. There's just not enough frames to ease in, so you tend to just ease out. There's a good article in The Illusion of Life about why you would only ease in, actually. And it's all down to the number of frames it stays closed for. When he does a blink off, more often than not, it's quite a good idea to leave the eyes closed for 2 frames so that it registers. Otherwise, what tends to happen is this. You go from this pose to this pose, you register the half closed eye, and then you register the half closed eye again, because you've seen 2 half closed eyes next to each other, but you only saw 1 closed eye. And the overall impression is that the eye went from open to half closed and then back open again. And that's because you had 2 frames of half closed and only 1 frame of closed. So sometimes it's useful to just close it for 2 frames and then make sure that you're into and out of a different. You've actually done that already, but you're doing it in a kind of weird way. You've got I guess you've done an ease in. I would arguably make this a bigger shape, make this an ease out rather than an ease in. Hold the eyelids closed for 2 frames, and then when you're opening up, I don't quite know why you've gone low. That seems a little odd. I would not go so low, but it is good that you've made this different, because at least this frame, this look here and this look here are not the same, which is good before it opens, but it means that that top lid has moved a mile from here to here, which doesn't quite feel natural. So just have a look at those sorts of things. Other than that, and it's very impressive. It looks good in the edit. Thanks a lot. Keep it up.